Hello and welcome to the Salt City Gamescast. This, against all odds, this is episode 150.
Wow.
My name is Nick Naylorson. Across from me is Jared Olin.
Hello.
We've done it.
I cannot believe that we're still doing this.
We should have had
yeah, fireworks or whatever. I saw like a montage recently of like gender reveal fails, and there's a few of them where like one of the members of the couple like popped it the wrong way and like exploded it on their like small toddler, who then just turns blue immediately, which is fucking great.
The gender reveal stuff is out of hand. It's enough.
Yeah, I think it's pretty dumb personally. Like, whatever, do what you want to do.
Sure.
Like, I have no problem with if it's like a small family affair thing, but like the motivation nowadays seems a little off for me. I think that's just to like post on social media.
We were pressured into doing one for my side of the family. Okay. My daughter.
Yeah.
And after my wife's like, we're never doing that again. We knew though.
Right.
But they did not. It was like cupcakes or had a color inside them or something.
Okay. But, so there's no like pyrotechnics.
No, there was none of that. And this second one is, I've got another a boy coming in. Ooh, 6 weeks. No, not even that long. 4 or 5 weeks.
Shit's about to get real.
There was no, it was a little anticlimactic because it's a science baby. So it's just like, there's a boy. I promise you.
Science baby.
It's for the power of science. It's I don't know, what am I supposed to?
By the power of modern medical technology. Nick is having another kid.
It's what they did.
Yeah.
I was talking to someone at my daughter's school, and I was like, yeah, because the baby's measuring very large.
That's a shocker.
Ava was small. Ava's tall now, but he's a week ago, she was 32 weeks pregnant. They do all the measurements, and they're like, this baby is measuring at 36 weeks. 40 is the end of it, right? And we're like, wow, the head's at 99%, and the lady's like, well, that's just the highest that it goes, because I'm pretty sure if it could go higher, it would be higher for this particular baby. Wow. It's like, oh dear,
you're gonna have a basketball player on your hands.
An uncoordinated basketball player. Fantastic.
6'5" little nailer.
The Mark Eaton of basketball is coming.
Seriously, man.
But yeah, he's probably going to be very tall. That conversation got real serious real quick. They're like, the baby's big. And the doctor comes in and he's like, I'm going to tell you all the things that can go wrong. And,
with a big baby?
Yeah.
Okay.
Their shoulder gets stuck.
Yeah.
It's a serious deal because they're not getting oxygen during that time.
Sure.
And he's always basically like, you just need to know that like an alarm goes off if this happens, and people just start crawling out of cupboards. You don't even know where these people are coming from, but suddenly the room will be full of a ton of people, and they're going to be doing like yoga poses with your wife. They do these like maneuvers, right? And they're like,
work that elbow or that shoulder out.
And they're like, and we're really good at it. And if we're not good at it, we push the baby back inside. And I was like, well, that sounds wild. So
can you imagine, or can you believe that there were like hundreds and hundreds of years of human existence where like doctors were really not as robust as they are now, and the medical technology was not as far, and women were just supposed to fucking
like
have a go.
Out? Yeah. And no epidural, and no, just
just raw dog it.
Get that baby out. Is that the proper phrasing?
I don't know. I don't know anything about babies, but that just blows my mind.
It really, yeah. It was so, yeah. It was all very low odds. He's like, listen, but you gotta at least know what's on the table. It's
sure.
Like, great, wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, I think they got to do that, right?
Sure.
Like you got to prepare you for all of the contingencies that may happen, but here's hoping that you don't have a blockage.
Yeah, they're like, current trajectory, this is a 9.5 pound baby. It's like, okay, seems big.
He comes out spinning a basketball on his finger.
It's like
poorly. What's up, parents? Ball is life.
We are on round 3 of Springbank. At this point, I feel like I've really tried a lot of Springbank.
Yeah.
I have the 10, and you've brought in, this is your third one, and this is the cask strength 12. Is that what it was?
Correct. Yes.
I think it's a little bit, but it's pretty good, and it's not too offensive.
That's my favorite one of the ones that I brought over for sure. Been working up to my favorite one. Yeah, I don't think that it drinks like a cask strength product at all. I mean, granted, it is a little bit lower than a lot of other cask strength products that you'll find out there. It's coming in at like 56%. But yeah, I mean, it's quintessential Springbank, but I just think the higher ABV does it for me because I'm a degenerate. So
it adds a little bit, especially if you're drinking whiskey. Like I was telling you, I've been having like one in the evening, which is more than normal, and trying to finish the bottle you gave me when my first daughter was born. So it's 5 years old. So it's almost done. But there is a just normal strength, and it's very easy to go down when you've been having some cask strengths, and then you grab just a straight pour, and you're just like, oh, this is just like water.
Yeah, it's true. That is very true. I kind of like the cask strengths because of that, because it's like, I feel like where I'm at in my whiskey journey is it's like the lower proof stuff. I can just drink that like water, and it doesn't really affect me in the way that maybe it would affect someone else. And that can get you in a lot of trouble.
Yes.
Like long gaming sessions, I'll usually, like, if we're playing games together, I'll just, like, if it's on the weekend, of course, I'll bring a bottle and just put it on my desk.
Such a problem.
And then I'll just like pour as I'm out, and then 5 glasses later, it's like, oh, I am very drunk.
We've definitely each had our turn when we're talking to each other playing games, and it's like one person had a few more than the other person on this call.
Certainly. That is very true.
Do you get into before we get into the thick of it, do you get into March Madness?
Not really. I don't do a bracket or anything like that.
I don't follow it. I think it would be a lot of fun to be in Las Vegas during March Madness and with a bunch of friends and to bet like $5 on every game or something like that. But anyway, my whole company's doing it, and I don't follow it at all.
Yeah.
So I formed a bracket. I'm currently in first place. It just started today, so it's early. Currently in first place. My selections were made by ChatGPT.
Okay.
It's going pretty well.
Yeah.
It took me a while because I was like, who do you think's gonna win between this matchup?
Yeah. I work with a lot of guys that are in other parts of the country where, sports betting is legal now. Utah, we still can't bet like through the apps and things like that, but that's like a exploding fucking market or business. It's kind of crazy when
it seems problematic. Some of the sports gambling and where it's gone in the last was it 5 years, maybe a little longer.
Well, it's just the parlays are problematic. Like professional gamblers call those sucker bets because, the percentage that you're going to win in comparison to what you're going to lose is very high. And so, but you can bet on virtually fucking anything in a game. And, but anyways, I was in a meeting earlier in the week, and one of the guys on my team was like, yeah, my daughter's boyfriend, he played high school basketball and like is really knowledgeable, and I've been like trying to get some fucking pro tips from him, and I'm sitting over there like being like, shit, like high school basketball? Was it JV? Was he varsity? Like, we need some more information. Like, I could see it was like, he played like D1 and took a shot at the NBA, didn't quite make it, but he's got a lot of knowledge. High school? The barrier, for entry is pretty low there.
You just try out for the team.
Yeah.
You got to beat Todd. Yeah. Like, I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, it just made me laugh. I didn't laugh out loud, but I was like, Jesus Christ. But yes, I think that the March Madness thing is like probably one of the coolest elements of like college sports.
It's an enormous amount of games.
It's an awesome thing, but yeah, I don't generally fuck with it, to be honest.
Before we move on, because I don't know how else to squeeze this in when we're talking about betting.
Yeah.
For the Super Bowl halftime show this year,
sure,
you could place a bet on who would show up.
Yeah.
Who would be a guest. You could bet money the Drake would be a guest on Kendrick Lamar's Super Bowl halftime show.
Boy.
And I don't know what it paid, but I'm sure $1 got you $1 million. Because like, what?
Yeah.
What are we doing?
That was a bad situation for old Drake. He kind of got eviscerated with that thing.
Turns out if you're pop, you shouldn't pick a fight with Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, and also like having Serena show up.
It was real good.
That was a big fucking punch in the dick. You know what I mean?
It was fantastic.
Oh boy,
it was really good. Well, we have a very large game to talk about. Monster Hunter Wilds is out.
Yep.
And it's pretty exciting. This is it launches on every platform, day and date, which is new for the game. So it's very, very exciting. Before we get into the weeds, I think it would maybe say that this thing is would maybe benefit from a little bit of optimization and stuff. A lot of people are having some performance problems, stuff like that. I'm not having anything crazy except for the ultra wide thing, and I kind of thought they would fix that by now. But
don't hold your breath.
It almost works for ultra wide. It's a quarter of an inch away from working, but I don't get it, and it is what it is. I guess like I don't think either you and I haven't had huge problems as far as performance. I haven't had any crashes. I'm not getting the frames I'm used to, but I'm still getting plenty to feel really good playing on PC.
Yeah, I've had like one crash, but nothing seriously problematic with the performance on my rig either. Yeah, I mean, it is problematic. I mean, the reason why I say don't hold your breath is Street Fighter 6 does not have ultra wide support, and that game's been out for over a fucking year now.
But this does have ultra wide support. It just doesn't quite work. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's true. It's strange the way that it's set, because if you set it to like your native resolution and your aspect ratio, it'll be like if you have a panel that doesn't support ultra wide, it'll be letterboxed, and it's like me sitting here with like a cutting edge top of the line ultra wide panel, and it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure that it supports ultra wide because that's what it is. So it's very confusing that is not a thing. There's a mod that you can download that's pretty robust, but there's some problems with that where there's just two gray bars on either side of the screen. And you can get rid of them through a mod, but then because you're fucking with the aspect ratio, some of the menus and things like that, the UI doesn't quite work. And then some cutscenes are just like jumbled messes because of it. So I just removed it.
I've like finished a Monster Hunter fight, and it's he usually like pulls out a book and starts writing in it around like hip length.
Yeah.
And you can see his face, but in this version it was just a crotch shot.
Yeah.
And you're just like, hey, this is my dude's dick.
Nice.
Okay, whatever.
Nice. Yeah.
So, I mean, luckily we haven't had a lot of issues, but I think a lot of people there maybe have a graphics card that's only 2 years old or even 3 years old is not getting the type of performance they're used to getting.
Yeah, I think like
games.
20 series, 1000 series cards, they're having problems.
That's just,
I think 30s and 40s are fine.
Yeah.
50s, I assume, are fine for like the 10 people that have those that aren't scalping them.
Not me.
Not me. But it runs good enough.
Sure. It looks pretty good. Had a good time making my character. I'm still sticking by this idea that I have that I don't think anyone's ever going to do, but I want these character creators to come out a week before the game on these RPGs, because I like to spend a little bit of time making my character, and but then I'm like, why the fuck am I not just playing the game?
Yeah.
So they should get on that. It's probably never going to happen, like ever, but it would be nice if I could go in there and screw around with it. They have a decent amount of options. You can make a pretty stupid looking character in this game.
Yeah, the character creator seems pretty robust. I wouldn't know because I don't mess with it. I was kind of frustrated with the character creator here because I just did like random generation and found something, and then did like a few tweaks to the character, but I couldn't figure out how to get rid of like horrific scars all over his face. And I like locked in, and then after the fact realized that you have to pay real money to do like a complete character swap and change all the elements, which is bullshit. But so I'm just like horribly scarred, which I guess makes sense because I'm a monster hunting fool. But
it's weirdly gross to charge for the spec of what your character looks like.
Sure,
they're getting some pushback on that. But,
you can do certain elements for free, but like a full respec costs money.
Luckily, I hit it out of the park right away. I don't need to do any respecking. I was ready to go.
Yeah.
Jumped into the game, and all the previous ones, World and I have played World and Rise and the DLCs. They've all tried to do like a story, I guess, but they're pretty bad. But they're there. They tell a tale, I guess. Mm-hmm. And from what I can tell, they were like, we should just do a lot more of that. Maybe like 2 times as much. And so that's what they've done. And it's pretty guided. I feel like it's a lot more guided through those first 3 chapters than World or Rise was. Like, they're not really taking the training wheels off and being like, go do optional stuff. It's really just like main quest. Like, they're just funneling you down it. Sometimes like they won't even let you walk around. Like, they'll be like, hey, get over here.
Yeah.
Which I don't like that. Don't like that one bit.
No, I don't like it either. I think this game, even more so than like World or Rise, just feels like the developers intentionally are like, we don't want you to really play any multiplayer until you get through at least chapter 3 in this game, right?
Pretty much.
And I think that's like kind of a problem when the series as a whole has been built on this robust multiplayer component, and the most fun you can have in these games is with other people
by a mile.
Yeah. So the fact that they make it as cumbersome and difficult for you to really get with other people and play in that early section of the game, I just doesn't make any sense to me.
But I didn't see my counter, but I think I think we're talking 15 to 20 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
To get through the first 3 chapters, which have some serious story segments where I'm down for you want to talk to me for 60 seconds, like whatever. And some of them are just like minutes of these monster hunter.
Yeah.
I think the problem is it's just like, does anyone want this? We talked about it, and you mentioned that I guess culture is different, and people in Japan might absolutely be down for it and be into it. But I'm just like, it's just not good.
No, it's not. It's not good.
It's not redeeming. It's not.
I really think for the future they should segment it where there's a multiplayer component and a story component, right? Where you've got 14 weapons, like make you use those 14 weapons in the story. Really like onboard new players in that story mode.
Actually, Warhammer just did that.
Yeah,
certainly not as their multiplayer wasn't all that deep, but that is what they did.
Right, give everybody like a chance to kind of get a feel for the gameplay as a whole, and then make decisions once you finish that story segment. I just feel like the way that it works now, it just doesn't work. Like it just it feels disjointed, and because of your travel, going on vacation and things like that, I got through the story without you. So I played the entire story. There's 6 chapters in the game. I did all of the story content by myself. I didn't do any multiplayer hunts at all. And like, it's fine, but also you're just like,
it's probably the least amount of fun you've had out of the last few Monster Hunters through that initial section.
Well,
there's just not.
Yes and no, because like you're introduced to like a great cast of monsters in this game through that story. And so those are the highlights where you're like, holy shit, this fight is really, really cool. And this monster is cool. So that was enjoyable. But yeah, it's fairly lonely. And, for these environments to be as big as they are. It's just kind of puzzling that they handle it in the way that they do. There was a lot of review bombing when the game, initially launched because of performance, and then also like cumbersome ways to get into hunts with other players. Like when you're going through that story content, very similar to World, where it's like, oh, the cutscene's not over. You got to wait until the cutscene's done. You know what I mean? Before we can like link up. And I just think that that's crazy. Like there's no way that you can figure that out where it's like, we're going to link up, group up before these cutscenes and watch these cutscenes together. The game's just like, no, you can't do that. You gotta wait until separately you're done with the cutscenes and then you can get into the hunt together. It's just puzzling. That was a huge criticism of World, and it's still here. And I don't understand.
It's pretty crazy that it's still here. And it's been pretty quick as far as how long you had to wait, but a couple times I had some decently long scenes to get through. So you're just like hanging out, looking at your sword.
I will say though, it streamlined a little bit, where in World it was like, I don't think that there was any like notification that popped up on your screen that I remember that was like, hey, you can join this hunt now. You just had to kind of rely on the people that you were in a party with to be like, oh, I just watched the fucking Nergigante, eat this dinosaur, and now I'm fighting him, and now you can like go through a number of menus to join. So it's a little bit better. It's very quick. It'll pop up and be like, hey, Karen, which is Nick's character's name, is just posted a quest, and then you just hit a button and you go, right? So it's a little bit better, but still it's like, it's dumb.
The guy they went to, and they're like, we got a big problem. And he's like, what's the problem? And it's like, well, the people, they got to watch these cutscenes. And he's like, oh yeah, we got to fix that. And they're like, yeah, we're not going to fix that, but we would like you to notify people when that problem is done. It's like, why don't I spend time fixing the bigger problem?
Right.
But whatever. The one thing I will say about, too much story, I'm not necessarily talking about the set pieces. The set pieces and some of the cinematics, those are entertaining. Those are fun to watch. I don't mind those at all, because there are some pretty awesome monsters in this game. And I think my favorite kind of set pieces of just kind of leading into these battles is about as good as it's ever been.
Agreed. That has been a thing for a while, and it's just got more and more cinematic as the games have progressed over the years. But yes, like that initial, like I've walked through the forest or whatever, and I'm finally about to fight this monster, and there's a little cinematic that plays that kind of shows like some of the behavior of the monster, how they interact with the environment. I've always liked that, and I don't have an issue with that at all. It's the broader story segments that are problematic.
And some of those monsters have a little intro when you first meet them, where it's kind of the fight almost hasn't even started. Like you might fight them for a little bit and then they run away, and then you're jumping on some incredible boulders and stuff. It's all just a pretty good set piece design. I thought it was entertaining to play through, and a pretty good amount of fun, because everything that we've really talked about previously about why we love these games, it's all here. I mean, it's very similar. It's in some ways, at least for me, it's better than Rise, because Rise made some changes I didn't like to the horn, and they've really dialed those back to where Monster Hunter World was, and I'm very happy about that. It just feel right at home, and I'm far more excited to work on my builds, because the hunting horn is harder now. Rise made it too easy, and I wanted that challenge, and it's back. It's great. Hunting horn's a lot of fun to play. I think feels like it's in a good place. Although I haven't been heavily challenged yet. I have not lost, I want to say a hunt. Like if you cart 3 times, you have to retry, and that has never happened. And I have, as of last night, fought every boss now. We finished it up. And I will say that's never happened on any other Monster Hunter either. I've always had gotten to a monster maybe later in the game and lost and said, well, I got to go back to the drawing board a little bit. So it's a little disappointing so far that hasn't happened, but they support these things for a long time. I believe you said there's another difficulty coming out in a week or so.
Yeah, at the 1st of April, the first free title update is rolling out. some sort of advanced difficulty. I don't know what that's going to look like, whether it's going to be arc tempered monsters like Monster Hunter World, or it's going to be something different.
Mm-hmm.
But at any rate, yeah, they're gonna up the difficulty to a certain level. Yeah, for me too. Like, um, aside from like the hardest content in the game, which realistically there's 2 fights that are pretty challenging right now. It seems a little bit easier, but also it's like I was going back and forth with this because it's like there are some tools that are available in this that were not available in previous games. And from like the perspective of a greatsword user, kind of revolutionized the way that that weapon kind of functions and makes it far more effective to hit these very heavy, powerful shots on monsters. So I'm like, is it easier, or am I just hitting the monster more frequently than I would have in previous Monster Hunter games?
I'm pretty sure it's easier because the monsters just don't hit as hard. There were monsters in previous iterations that would really, you would borderline be okay, maybe 3/4 health or something, and you get hit by their big bad, be like, oh, I'm done. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, whoopsie.
Yeah.
And that's not here as much. I will say we almost had to restart the last boss that we just fought, because I did cart twice during that one.
Yeah.
But I don't know how well we should gauge that, because I haven't been upgrading all my stuff. Because once I got to high rank, Jared just came in and has been charging me through the content. And it was very good. We kicked the shit out of a lot of monsters in short order. Same monster over and over in short order.
Yeah, I'm like, I mean, you could argue that I'm like done with a build, like completely. I've maxed it all the way out, total end game. So like there are a couple of decorations that I need, which are gems that give you different abilities on your gear, that make your gear better, that I'm still missing to like fully complete a build. But like I've maxed all of my armor out, so it's up to the highest level and all that stuff. And I've gotten a couple of end game weapons that are maxed all the way out too. So yeah, like the content we were running was fairly not threatening for me for the most part. So yeah, it was fun running you through like shit very quickly. You got a lot of progress done in like 3 play sessions.
Probably a little bit of cheating as far as what decorations I got at an early stage, because the quests you were taking us on were just I swear the quests I was having were giving me 3 decorations, and the ones you were bringing were giving us 23. Like at the end of our 7-minute slaughter.
Yeah.
Which is just an absolute slaughter. It you feel bad for the monsters at a certain point. But
definitely.
I will say, even with us really not being challenged, the fun's all there. Like it's still pretty much a great time to sit there, drink whiskey, play this game, and fucking play your old horn.
Right. And it's there, right? Like the blueprint is there, and it just needs the monster's health needs to be a little bit higher, and they need to be doing a little bit more damage, which like is an easy slider on the back end to kind of tweak those metrics for them.
Are these missions not timed anymore?
They are.
They are?
Yeah. Yeah, you have a time. The clock is in the top right corner, like it's always been.
How long is it? 30 minutes?
Typically, it depends. Like some investigations will be like 30 minutes. Some of them will be 50 minutes. I think the highest is 50. And you might have an hour for like some of the main story stuff.
Yeah, I can't imagine a fight going that long in this game. A lot of them, it seems like it was a very, it was an absolute decision they made to shorten these fights.
Yeah, some of the like, so like I said, there's 2 like truly challenging fights right now. And depending on what investigation you get for those fights, which like for anybody that doesn't know, are basically randomized missions. So you go to a map and then you look at what's available. There's different like weather events in the individual areas, and you kind of have to cycle through those weather events. And during those weather events, different monsters will show up on your map. And then you can go in and pick which ones you want to hunt. And that's basically how the end game functions, right? They all have like different rewards. They're also like different star tiers. The higher the star tier, the more tanky the monster is, the more damage the monster will do to you. But the reverse of that is generally the rewards are going to be better, right? So yeah, there are some like of the harder fights that you'll find some investigations. It'll be like take out 2 tempered monsters in 30 minutes. And yeah, you run into like time crunch to a certain extent at that point in time. But yeah, I think the closest that I've gotten to like failing a mission because of time is like within 10 minutes of the time. So.
And in the previous ones, there were some that was right down to the wire.
Yeah.
Where we'd barely get it in time.
Right. So yeah, I mean, I guess it is just generally easier, but again, like I didn't necessarily have a problem with the difficulty because, like you said, it's just so much fun. And like I think that some of the fights here and the roster of monsters is very diverse, and there's a lot of good here. So, like, I'm still generally having a really good time, and you're chasing those god rolls of decorations, and the end game weapon system here is also heavily reliant on RNG, so there's a lot of grind there to kind of keep you going.
Do you only craft what you need for armor, or will you, like at this point you have your build, but will you still just be like crafting armor that you're not wearing?
Yeah, so all low rank armor I've crafted, and I'm working towards crafting everything. That's generally what I do. Sure. Just because I'm like, well, what if I want to use a different weapon other than a greatsword, which never happens. I generally just stick with the greatsword. Like I'm a greatsword main. That's all I play. That's all I've ever played, really.
The one change they did make that really kind of encourages you to have another weapon is you can have one. You can have a secondary weapon in this game.
You can, which is really cool, but I think that it's implemented a little bit poorly. I think that it's a half step. So yes, you can have 2 weapons. You have this basically your mount. It's called a sacred. What did you call it? A notch.
It's a notch. It is a chocobo that just like fucked its cousin too many times, dude. Like it's a chocobo.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't hold it. It's not it's an insecure. It holds its head low. It doesn't like hold its head high. Other than that, it's like a dirty ass unwashed chocobo.
Yeah, but it walks on its hind legs when it's like moving slowly, but then when you get it to sprint, it goes down on all fours. It has wings, so it can like glide. And it kind of has like
all about that. That's not used a lot in the game.
No, it's not, but it can do it.
Yeah.
Like if you jump off of like a high point on it, it will like glide down.
Like they show you how to do it within probably the first hour of the game.
Yeah.
And I never did it again.
Yeah. Sometimes it'll just do it automatically. But anyways, you have like a holster for a secondary weapon that you can switch to on the fly, which is great. But the problem is that you don't have the ability to also switch your armor. But like, so you're very reliant on your armor in this game. Like your armor directly dictates stats for your weapon. And like, if you have one or the other, the build is completely broken. So there are guides that you can go online and look at, and it'll be like, hey, for this build, we recommend this secondary weapon because it synergizes with your armor. But that limits you because it's like, I think the build I'm running right now, it's like 2 secondary weapons are like I think it's like the heavy bow gun and like something else that I don't care about, and the hammer. And it's like, why would I want to play the hammer when it's just like a worse version of the greatsword, which is probably a controversial thing, but it's true.
It's a really, it's a missed opportunity because the game is usually quite funny. This is probably the least funny of the ones I've played, as far as just the dumb stuff that happens with in the world and the characters and the cat. But like you could switch your whole build, like make you do it out in the field, like you have to sharpen.
Yeah,
and you could like have your characters strip down to his underwear, throw his armor at the cat, and the cat throws your armor back, and it would be fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
and it's just
the cat's just got like a pop-up like dressing room that pops
they
open and you run in there, you could change your armor, and then you're ready to go.
It would fit with the tone of what they've done previously in these games. It's too bad.
So it's fine, but like that's something that I really haven't messed around with much, just because it's like it's super limiting, right? It's like I want to run 2 weapons that I like to play, right?
Well, yeah, because if I'm gonna I'm working towards like a basically a support. It makes it really hard to die, which is too unfortunate for this game. I probably shouldn't even be doing this, but it gives me a lot of support options to keep myself and everyone else alive. And the horn will be doing that as well. So to have another horn around, I'm just like, well, what's the use case here that I'm going to want to suddenly switch?
Yeah. So most people are just running 2 of the same weapon, myself included, where it's like, I have a great sword, and then I also have a great sword. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And that's fine because, every weapon for the most part has like different modifiers and different elemental effects. So, there is a use case for switching between 2 of the same weapon to like cause different damage on a specific monster, which is cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think it's a missed opportunity to just like fully flesh it out. Right.
I mean, I guess it would allow me to play 2 completely random sets of melodies for buffs, which is, so if anything, maybe the horn is the best one for it, because I could be out there, and if we were playing in a large group, you could really help your group.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. But it's nice to see some new additions, and I think across the board, I think let's talk about kind of as far as combat, what's new here, because there is a new stable of monsters, and I don't think that it's really time effective to talk about like all of the new monsters in the game. There's a lot of new monsters here. At launch, there are 29 total monsters. The vast majority of the monsters that you fight through the first like 4 chapters are new monsters, with like a couple of older returning monsters thrown in there. And then when you get to like chapter 3, which is the midway point of the story, they start throwing monsters from previous games at you as well. So it's kind of a nice mix from that perspective. But yeah, the new combat hook. The last 3 games have had a hook, when it comes to combat. World was like very much centered around like a lot of the environmental effects that you could kind of use to your advantage with monsters. That's here to a certain extent, but I would say
pull rocks down on their head and stuff like that.
That's here to a certain extent in Wilds, but it's lesser across the board in my opinion. Aside from traps, there's a lot more traps in this game, where there's some really cool kind of moments where, like, for instance, there are these giant wasp nests that are like in trees. And if a monster gets close to it, you can shoot your grappling hook, which the grappling hook is back in this game. It's been present in previous games. But you can pull the wasp nest apart, and all these wasps come out. If the monster's close enough, they will like swarm the monster and attack it, poison it. So there's like a lot of really cool things like that. There's also like a lot of traps in the environment that you can set on the monsters. My favorite one in particular is like a group of fireflies that you can either capture the fireflies and it will give you a flash pod, or you can walk through the firefly swarm and hit B or circle, and it will immediately create a trap in the environment that if the monster walks into, it paralyzes them. So there's like a lot of cool stuff like that, but I think it's less than World. And then in Rise, there was the wire bugs, which were complete game changer when it came to like your mobility and your movement in combat, which RIP to that, because I think that's a fantastic system.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer that those went away.
Yes.
It was the type of mechanic that when it came out, it was like, well, this is a big moment, like a big step forward for Monster Hunter, and you can't go back from this. And then Capcom was like, "You fucking bet."
Yeah, it's a huge bummer, because that system just allowed a lot of momentum and movement abilities that had never been present before, and like for me,
rescue abilities too.
Sure,
when you got hit in the air, and didn't you like do? Didn't you push something to like?
Yeah, you could grapple. Yeah. Like if you got launched in the air from a monster's attack, which happens frequently in these games, if you had a wire bug, there was like a limited amount of wire bug usage that would refill over time. I think you had like 2 or 3 by default, but then you could increase them with like armor and weapon abilities. But yeah, you could like vault yourself in the air and get yourself out of like trouble with that. But then it also directly affected your combat. So like greatsword like is one of the slowest weapons, if not the slowest weapons in the game. It's very like large, big ass sword. So you got to, be strategic about your placement and things like that. You could just fucking zip around with the wire pugs and get yourself out of all sorts of trouble, and also like turn the greatsword into this like very fast moving weapon in certain cases. So that's fantastic. But what's here in Wilds, I think, is very good as well. And basically what it is this wound system. And how it works is as you do damage to monsters, these glowing spots will appear on the monster. Early in the game, they're just red glowing spots. And that is directly related to like, if I am like wailing on a monster's leg, for instance, one of these red spots will pop up, right? And if you target it, which is the other big thing, there is a targeting system here where if you hold the left trigger on the controller, you can, as long as your weapon is unsheathed, you can move with the left stick and move your character to the left or the right, up and down, to target these parts, right? That are flashing red.
There's still a timing to it.
There is a timing to it, but it's kind of a game changer. That's kind of what I alluded to earlier in the conversation with greatsword in particular, because one of the big frustrations with greatsword is like, it's all about charging, and like you charge very slowly, but if you get your charge slashes correctly and hit the monster, you're going to do massive damage. The problem with that is those charges are very slow, right? And in previous games, you really had to rely on positioning a little bit more. It's still here to a certain extent, but in the past, you really had to rely, and that really kind of separated bad greatsword users from good greatsword users, is like when and where you're charging to make sure that you're going to hit the monster for the big damage. But with this, like, you can just charge. While I'm charging, I can hold the left trigger in and aim my sword. And so, like, for instance, if a monster gets hit, because it's a 3 charge slash, if I charge up my first and my second, and I get to the 3rd charge, which is the strongest charge, the one that you want to go through more often than not, because it's going to net you the most damage. I can just, like, if the monster moves during that charge up sequence, I can just use the trigger and move the character so that I'm guaranteed to hit that monster.
You're using the trigger to use standard attacks, not just the bumper attack.
Correct.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
because I don't have any reason to do that. I don't do that. I only use the trigger when I want to target a wound with right button.
Yeah,
and then I can hit it. But I like, if I miss an attack, it is what it is. So I haven't even thought about trying to do that.
But with the greatsword, you don't have that luxury, right? Because it's like
it took a long time to get to that point. I just pushed X. Pushed Y.
Yeah.
And you've been working towards this.
Yes, exactly. So with this, it's like, all right, I'm letting my level 3 out, my level 3 charge slash out, and like, it doesn't matter if the monster is behind me, because I'm just going to quickly aim towards its head or whatever part of the body is viable to hit, and I can immediately spin around and hit that shot. And so it's a game changer for that perspective. But like you highlighted, there's also a move that is, I think, standard for every weapon in the game that allows you to target those wounds. And really the strategy, as people have kind of dug into the system and kind of learned how it works, is you want to wound the monster quite a bit. So you can kind of stack wounds by like targeting different parts of the monster. So you can get a wound on like all of its legs, for instance. Yeah. You can get a wound on its face, on its head, on its back. And once it has a ton of wounds, then you can use that left trigger targeting to target those wounds and then hit the right bumper. And you'll do this slash that with the greatsword in particular, you basically stab into the wound.
You stab with the horn too, which is amazing.
You stab the wound and then like pull across the body, and all of those wounds are going to be targeted by that move. Yeah. And you'll just see like a cascade of damage numbers. And when you destroy, it's very funny because it says wound destroyed.
And you get armor. You
get monster parts for doing it. And it's very satisfying. It's incredibly satisfying.
And sometimes it'll topple them.
Yes. Well, with tempered monsters, which is like the hardest form of monster that's present right now, the tempered monsters will have blue points that will emerge that are very similar to the red wounds, but they're blue. And if you target that wound and destroy that wound, that's an immediate topple.
But the reds have to have some chance to topple, because I know
they do.
I know that I've had it,
but
been like, oh yeah, that absolutely toppled.
For sure. They definitely will topple. But what I'm saying is the blues are a guaranteed topple. So like when you see the blue when you're fighting a tempered monster, you're like, oh shit, Jesus. we gotta get that fucking that blue wound, because it's gonna topple them, and that's gonna allow you to just
beat on their head.
Dump damage onto them. So very satisfying system. It's really good. Like it's just so much fun.
Yeah, it feels good. I was barely interacting with it while you and I were playing, but I do a lot more when I'm alone, because I know that shit's got to be hit and done. But yeah, it's a good addition. Again, it's the type of addition that if it's not in the next game, you would be like, what are we doing here?
Yes. That it's very frustrating that like it's like, I feel like this across the board is like more of a broad statement on this game. Is it's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back.
That's
in a lot of ways.
Say that it's really frustrating, because we really want the be all Monster Hunter, right? Like it's like they've made all these steps. They're getting bigger and bigger. Like this game is massive. It sold 8 or 9 million copies or something like that.
8 million copies in the first week, which is fucking outrageous.
And you just keep thinking like they're gonna put it all together, and this is gonna be one just leap, and you're gonna be like, my God, they've done it.
Yeah.
And you just not there. Like I'm not. The hard part is you want to say Monster Hunter Wild is absolutely better than Rise, and it's absolutely better than World. And it's not that easy. You can absolutely pretty much talk about any of them, maybe not World so much, but there's absolutely things in Rise that you can compare and be like, well, they took this away. So it's at least conversation. It's not a no-brainer. It's absolutely the best one.
Yeah. I think my biggest frustration, not just with Wilds, but like the last 3 games, which like if you compare G Generations, which was the game that came out right before World, which is a fantastic. I mean, like if you want to go play like old school Monster Hunter, no, it's on the. You can get it on the Switch. The final version of G Generations is on the Switch, which, as far as I understand, still has like a active player base of like the weirdest weirdos that are like, "This is the real Monster Hunter," and it is a fantastic game that has one of the best rosters of monsters in any game, because it's just literally in the name. It's Generation, so it's just like all of what we've done up to this point. It's in this game, right? So I highly recommend like anybody that's listening to this and you like go get a copy of that. You can get a copy of that for cheap, and it's a fantastic experience. But you got to deal with a lot of like the cumbersome elements of previous Monster Hunter that World kind of revolutionized. But yeah, my thing is like there's just always something with Monster Hunter that is like, no matter what title it is, that just feels cumbersome and archaic, where you're just like, I don't want you to remove like the DNA and what makes a Monster Hunter game. That's not what I'm saying. But with the numbers that these games are doing, and it's not just Wilds. World was the best-selling Capcom game when it came out. I'm pretty sure Rise did exceptionally well.
Rise was Switch only, so the sales are probably weird on it, because of how they released it.
Yes, true. But it's still, I'm pretty sure it did exceptionally well overall, right?
Oh,
and then Wilds comes out, and now it is like heads and tails the best-selling Capcom game of all time, right? And so it's like we can figure out, like, we're not saying like turn this into like just a balls to the wall action game. Like I love the vibes. I love like the prep and planning that Monster Hunter is known for. I don't want you to get rid of that, but I also don't want to just like have to just come to this podcast or in my play sessions be like, I love this game. I love this series. This is one of the best series in gaming, in my opinion. But like, why is this here? Why is this so cumbersome? And like, I don't understand why they can't just fully like deliver where you're like, this is the one. Like, I can't make that grand proclamation for like people that aren't really into Monster Hunter games. I can't be like, well, obviously Wilds, like, I guess you have to say Wilds is the best starting point that you have because they have streamlined a lot of shit. But it's also like there's a lot of shit here as like a new player. Like we were talking about it last night where it's like, they don't explain it in the game in any meaningful, tangible way. And you're like, if you're a new player, how are you going to know anything about this?
Like take loadouts, which I feel like are pretty important if you're doing lots of hunts. Otherwise, you are manually restocking what you're taking out into the hunt. It doesn't automatically do it for you. You can only hold so many things. Like if you aren't making a loadout, it's kind of crazy to me. But you make a loadout, and in theory, you want to be able to push a button, reload the loadout. Okay. And if I want to know of new players that have played this game for 25 hours, how many of them are using the loadout? Because in order to learn how to do the loadout, you go into your tent, which is fine. That's part of the game. You click into a title that says transfer items. It's how you move items from your box to what you're going to take out on the hunt. Okay. Then at the bottom of the screen, it will just be like loadouts. You then have to push in, I think it's the left or the right button. And then you go in there, and then you would have had to have created, and then you have to go down and then select your loadout and say, load it. And it's just like 5 clicks deep, and it's like 3 clicks too many, where it's just like, how could this not have been easier to just, I've made the loadout. How do I load the loadout as quickly as possible?
Yeah.
Because it really seems cumbersome, especially as you get into the game, and you do this after every fight, which with us is about every 9 minutes. And it's just like every 9 minutes I go in there, I'll go and transfer items, click in the button, do the loadout. It's like, okay, whatever. Like, it's fine. Like, you learn how to do it, but it's I think it's a big ask for people that the game's already daunting enough. And then you have these things that make the game easier, like loadouts. And it's like, well, we kind of made that hard too. And we didn't tell you how to do it. We didn't explain it to you. It's like, well,
that's the biggest problem, is the lack of explanation. Like, it's like edgelord game design in a way. And I think that's like counterproductive to what you're trying to do. You know what I mean? Like, every new release in any game series, but especially in a game series that is pulling in this many players, this is your chance to immediately hook those newcomers that aren't us, that haven't been playing these games for years, to be like, oh, this is why fucking Nick and Jared's friends are like, oh, Nick and Jared talk about this fucking game all the time.
Why do they like it so much?
Yeah, why do they like this shit so much? Like, this is your chance, right? And I think that it's not doing away with the mechanical complexity of the fights, or also item management or the prep. Like, it's not that. It's,
I don't even care that the item is kind of crazy to even find the items to make the loadout. I don't even care about that. That's whatever. It's kind of hard, but like, I can deal with it. It's like 9 pages of shit to decide what to bring in. Yeah. I'm even fine with that. Just once I make it easy for me to load the shit.
Well, my thing is just like, have robust tutorials, right? I mean, this is a big frustration with fighting games that I have, where like nobody or very few devs have really nailed it down. And so like, there's a lot of people, like we have one friend that we've like been spying on his Steam account.
He's been on this show. It's Dan.
It's Dan.
And
shocker, it's Dan. We've been spying on his Steam account, and we were like, in the first couple of play sessions that we did after you got back from your vacation, we were like, I don't know if Dan's Dan's a busy man. He's got a lot going on. But also it was like, I don't know if Dan likes this thing. And then last night I saw some Steam achievements and I was like, oh, he's making progress. That's great. He hasn't completely given up, but that's a real concern. And then we've got some listeners in the Discord as well that this is their first Monster Hunter experience. And like, I think that, you know, my thing is, it's just like, don't push people away from like your game, like bring them in and at least the bare minimum. Explain all of the systems that you have in place, because it is a non-digestible game in a lot of ways if you don't have like a lot of experience. And I think that's foolish. It's foolish.
What I'll say is you need to put your head down and get through chapter 3, because I think chapter 1 through 3 is not good. It's not why I play Monster Hunter. It's not it.
Well, pump the brakes a little bit. It's still good. I mean, you're still fighting monsters.
If it's all it was, I wouldn't play the game.
Well, of course not. But you're still fighting monsters, and the monster fights are amazing. But they're so good.
I love the stat part so much, and you don't interface with it. You know, it's like
that was your choice.
It's like playing but it's the same reason that like playing through like Destiny, the story, it better be real fucking good, because you're only trying to get to the numbers part, right? And when you get new DLC, no one gives a shit. You're just swapping out gear or whatever. And then you get to the end. This is the same thing where it's just like, I just got to get through this to get to the part that I actually enjoy. And it changes so much. Like once you get to 4, it all comes in, and they've been holding back all of those investigations and optional missions and things that they just were not encouraging you or even allowing you to do. Mm-hmm. I just think the loop is way better once you get to that spot, and then you're able, or at least encouraged, to play with friends. I will say, they're going to bring in the Gathering Hub, which is all this is just weird. Like I invite you to my session, and this is fucking crazy. I'm like, all right, Jared, do you want to play? And you're like, yes. And it's like, okay. And I invite you, and it's like, Jared's joined your session. And I'm like, okay, can I see him? And it's like, nah. Like, okay.
We should note that like we don't know. Well, I guess we do know for certain, because we've been in the exact same spot and we can't find each other.
We're not in the same instance, right?
Yeah.
The only reason I say that it's a bunch of horse shit is that other people are in my instance.
Yeah.
So like it's bringing random people from God knows where and being like, look at Dick Runner. He's in your game. And it's like, well,
Dick Runner.
Where's Salt City J-Rod? Why isn't I'm the one that literally invited him? And then it's also kind of crazy that I invite you and you're like, yes, I'm going to join your session. And then I'm like, I'm going on a hunt. And it's like, would you like to come? Like it asks you, and you could just be like, nah, I'm sitting this one out. It's like, of course, why did he join my session if he's not going to come on the hunt? Why are you even asking if I want to join the, like,
I think that's
we're going on a hunt
for sure. Like I agree with you, but also like, we have a guild. There's 3 people in the guild. Dan, fucking join the guild. I don't know what you're doing, but join the goddamn guild. I text you, Dan, and I was like, join the guild, and you were like, thumbs up, Jared, join in the guild, and then you didn't join the guild.
But a different guild.
Yeah, he's probably he little do we know, he's like, I'm not surfacing my Steam achievements, and I'm actually HR 220, and I'm playing nonstop. But like, I think that the counter to your argument is like, you know, there are big guilds, right? And there are big groups of people that are playing this game. So I don't know what the max that you can have in a group, but like if you've got, I don't know, 60 people, like obviously those motherfuckers, you can't all join. It's only four max.
Well, you can't even all join in the same instance anyway. So you can only join X amount, and then if you add another one, it will reload everyone.
Right, but you get what I'm saying, like where there's got to be a guild out there where it's like the tryhards that are building guilds that are actually getting like a lot of members. They're like,
so everyone in
we
the
have
guild
so many people, and like we've got a group that's our guild specific group, and we've got a ton of people. Like I think that's why that system is in place, because it's like you've got a lot of people. Okay. Only 4 can go.
Is that how it works? Because I've been inviting you to my session. So you're saying we're in the same guild. Are you saying that I can just not invite you and you're going to be able to join? Because if it's, that would be the only way.
No. What I'm saying is like, if you've got a big guild, you're joining as a group, like you're all grouping up in the same group. Like we're running just the two of us in a group. Right. Yeah. And when you post a quest, it's like, oh, Karen's going on a quest. Right. But if you've got like a ton of people in that group,
but you still had to invite them. But so like, we see where I'm going. Like, wouldn't the next step be like, actually, if you post a quest, everyone in the guild, no matter where the fuck they are, could potentially join it. Like,
I see what you're saying.
That would be great, right? Like,
because I don't know, maybe we should like test that. I would doubt that that's there.
Like, find more friends, right? We're gonna get a bigger guild.
I don't know. Do you guys want to be friends with us?
Kind of like
we're like old guys that don't know what we're talking about. But
before we go to a break, my daughter loves this game.
Good.
We've been playing it. She keeps all my materials up, and she because she just runs around and gathers and beats up the small little crocodile dudes and stuff.
She rode on the sacred,
and she thinks that's pretty cool. And then she picks a fight with the rooster while I'm going to the bathroom, and then I come out of the bathroom and she's upstairs and I just hear because when it's a big monster, she like throws the thing at me. I don't know what the rooster's name is.
The Matrice.
But we were playing today, and the shit they say is so funny. Kids just in general, but she was killing just little things, and she knows how to carve them. She knows how to do the whole thing, and she's just over there running around the world, and she's going hunt, 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 carve, 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 hunt, 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 carve, 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 and I'm just like, it's good. I like it.
I love that your kid is fully on board with Monster Hunter. I just love it. I love it so much. Like I was a little apprehensive. I was like, this is like, some of these monsters are scary. And she's a little 4-year-old. So
like, I told you, every monster, they'll like a monster will show up. Blood is dripping from his teeth. It's like shooting fire, killing lambs. And my daughter will be like, is that a mean one? And it's just like, is that a mean one? That is the meanest thing your 4-year-old eyes have ever seen.
Yeah.
Of course it's a mean one.
Right.
She's like, is the cat our friend? Of course the cat's in a tube in the river with a paddle. Of course the cat's our friend.
It's pure gold, and I really cannot wait until we get her early impressions on GTA 6 when that comes out.
She's just got to learn how to read, and then we're going to be off to the races, because it's going to open up a lot with games, because I don't love reading, and she doesn't like story, FYI. That's been a thing we found out. I taught her about side quests and stuff, and she's very against side quests.
Okay.
She's just like, no, let's get to the meat of the whole thing. And so then I'll like make up stories for her, and she's like, is this a side quest story? And I'm just like, kinda. my brain's not really good. I got nothing today. She's like, I don't like side quests. We gotta push the plot forward.
Fucking side quests are great, man. Come on.
She doesn't think
you got to teach her. Teach her the ways.
You have anything else to say? I'm sure that we will talk about this game again in the future. They support these pretty well. I'm not finished. I'm finished with the quote story, but
yeah,
I absolutely want to at least round out a build and say, okay, I've pretty much done it all. Also, they'll keep releasing monsters, and now at least I'm at a point where when they release the new higher level monsters, you and I can immediately jump in and see how we fare, and hopefully find some challenge.
Yes, absolutely. There's pump the brakes a little bit. There's challenge here already, but it's just so limited, right?
Sure.
It's 2 monsters basically, at the tempered level that are actually going to give you a rough go. So that they definitely need to improve it, but it's there. Like you're going to get rocked, and you're going to be like, oh my God. Okay. So I don't really have much else to say. I mean, overall, I think it's a fantastic experience, and I am, I put 100+ hours into it now, and I don't see myself stopping anytime soon. especially with you kind of like lagging behind. It's just like, let's get all of the parts and just be ready for the next monsters to come out, and then also like stockpile mats for whenever we inevitably stop playing this, and then the update or the DLC comes out
in a year or something.
Yeah.
Is it usually a year? I feel like it was usually a year.
I don't know. I don't remember.
Like, it would come out, and like by the end of next summer, they would have a proper update.
Yeah.
I heard they sent out some survey. It was like, do you think we should make a DLC? It's like, fucking
yeah.
Did you see how many copies you sold? What do you mean? Do you think?
Like, yeah, fucking make a. But that's the thing is like, we've talked about Iceborne on this podcast, I'm pretty sure, and we've also talked about Sunbreak, which are the 2 DLCs for the last 2 games.
Was OG Monster Hunter before?
What?
Was OG World before we started the podcast? So we just did.
I think we just did Sunbreak or Iceborne. Yeah. But those might as well be their own games, both of them. The amount of content in both of those DLCs is
not short,
fucking excellent. So I have no doubt that they're going to do something big with this one, especially the way it's sold. So
sure.
Having a good time. I highly recommend, set aside the criticisms that we've made. I highly recommend you give this a go. This is a good game. It's a lot of fun.
The fun parts are unmatched, kind of in multiplayer. It's the same thing we've said before. There isn't really anything that is more fun. Like, there are games that we have a ton of fun playing together, but none of it's just like, is it better than Monster? I don't think so. Like, it's kind of hard to beat it. So. Nope. That's why we're trying to get everyone to play it. Let's take a little break. We'll come back, talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance. Okay, we are back. Quick question. I think you alluded to it. You have another Springbank that we haven't had? Or is this the last Springbank?
This is the last one,
This is the last one. Okay.
Yeah, please have more if you'd like.
Yeah.
No, I mean, Springbank's hard to come by.
It's kind of impossible to come by, but yeah. I've seen. I don't know if this is true. The Reddit for whiskey is just kind of rumbling that things are maybe turning the other way a little bit.
Definitely.
They're posting just lots of crates of, not that I'm chasing Eagle Rare, but just it's still kind of tough to find, and they're just posting things. It's like the world is healing a little bit. So
I don't understand why people like Eagle Rare so much. I just like. I think there are far better products out there.
I'd buy it to make old fashions if it was $35, but I don't think it is. Or is it?
Its MSRP is $30. Yeah,
it's fine. I mean, for an old fashioned, it's fine.
It's good, but like, dude, so many people that I talk to, my boss loves it. He's like, "I was Eagle Rare," and I'm like, "That's great." You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with Eagle Rare. I think it's a good product for the price,
and that's what I was going to say. Not necessarily overpriced.
Yeah. But like, I don't know. I think there's been a lot of rumblings about the whiskey market bursting, the bubble popping, and which is a good thing for people that like whiskey. You know what I mean? There's always going to be hard to find bottles, and I don't think that like the Pappy Van Winkles of the world are going to become any easier to obtain. I mean, that would be lovely.
I just think it would be nice if 1 or 2 varieties of like your E.H. Taylor's you could just get.
Yeah.
Like, it's just possible to get some of those, and then still have the other ones that are harder to find.
But people that are like investing in whiskey, which that's a thing, surprisingly, their value is like tanking. It's tanking like at a rapid clip. So that generally, I mean, and the writing is on the wall when it comes to Buffalo Trace in particular. Right around the time that I was in Louisville, they had just finished construction of a entire new rick house, and then not only another rick house, but another like production facility as well. So that indicates they're ramping up production. That's their goal. So but with whiskey, it just takes time. You know what I mean? You can't just build all these facilities and then just put a product on the market. For a lot of this stuff,
you can't.
No. What do you mean?
Does the president of the United States know this?
Oh my God!
Because I think this might be a problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
because I think we're in need of to bring all manufacturers.
Yeah, exactly. Especially with Canada not purchasing bourbon. That's been I listened to, I can't remember, I think it was one of the Heaven Hill reps talking about the tariffs and like how Canadian retailers have really like put their foot down in terms of purchasing products. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine being Canadian? Like, I love you, Canada. Nothing against Canada, but can you imagine being Canadian and being like, I just want to go get like a nice bottle of whiskey, and it's like, have you tried Crown Royal? You know what I mean? Like,
that is tough because
it's really shitty for them because it's like, I mean, look, they're Canadian whiskeys, I have been told, and I really haven't dipped my toe, so I can't be super critical. I do know a guy, my girlfriend's dad's friend, who is a connoisseur of Canadian whiskey, and like,
it's weird.
He loves it, and he has the bankroll to buy the best Canadian whiskey.
So what we need to do next, I mean, we're burning through everything else.
Yeah,
we need to get some.
Well, I've talked to him.
Some taste tests of some Canadian whiskey.
Yeah, randomly. Up here. I do a whiskey tasting. Anybody that doesn't know, I do a whiskey tasting on Christmas for my girlfriend's family. They do wine, and then I've been bringing bottles of whiskey for like the last 4 or 5 years, and I just like, do it.
You just like will them into a whiskey tasting.
Yeah,
right? They were all just like.
But there's like a lot of people that now, like in our family, they're like, leading up to that party, they're like, what whiskey are you bringing?
But you just didn't stop.
Interested. Yeah, I didn't stop.
You're the insane clown posse of whiskey tasting. You're just like, I just kept bringing whiskey till you guys adapted to me.
Yeah, exactly.
You bunch of Merlot drinkers.
Yeah, now I get like a couple of her brothers, or one of her brothers, and then like his son and like some other people, ancillary people that are like, what are you bringing? We're ready for this. So anyways, last Christmas, my girlfriend's dad was like, I know this guy that like he buys all sorts of whiskey, but I'm pretty sure he really loves Canadian whiskey. And I was like, what Canadian whiskey? And I was just like,
isn't there a Canadian mist? Is that a drink?
Canadian mist is
that a whiskey?
Yeah, it is.
I only know
Lord
that.
Calvert. When I was like 17 years old, we would, get a plastic bottle of Lord Calvert, and we'd all be like, we're drinking with the Lord, But it's all terrible. But anyways, my girlfriend's dad was like, I honestly don't know. Let's just call him on Christmas night. And he just called him, whipped out his phone and called him. And he was like, hey, why are you calling me on Christmas? And he was like, well, my son-in-law basically wants to know like what whiskey you buy in Canada. And I had like a straight up fucking 30-minute conversation with this guy. And he told me all about Canadian whiskey and how he was importing it and buying it and like all of these different distilleries. And he was just like, look, it's Christmas. He's like, I've enjoyed talking with you, but I'm just going to get you a couple of bottles from Canada, and then I'm going to give them to your girlfriend's dad. And so I'm still waiting on that. I don't know if that's going to happen, but maybe. Mm-hmm. I kind of want to meet this guy just to like grease some wheels and get that moving.
Absolutely. Like, I think we need to, I got to go after this show. I got to go Google. I got to figure it out. I don't know
what he told me.
Are we going to be able to find anything even out of state? Are we able to find anything?
Yes. Okay. Out of state for sure.
Nothing here. It's Crown.
God no.
Blackberry Crown.
Yeah, exactly.
All the people I work with love that shit. And it's like,
yeah. Isn't the apple more popular? The Crown apple.
I feel like it's blackberry, but I could be wrong.
Pretty sure it's the apple that's like the most popular. So much so that they just like released. It's either Jack or Crown that released like an upper tier that's like a 10-year that they infused with apple. That people are chasing right now.
I don't like any of that flavored shit. Like I've never.
I think it's good in a cocktail.
Sure.
Like if you have a good mixologist,
you could do something with it
that takes that and then makes a really good cocktail with it. It could work.
I'll tell you, I made an old fashioned with Crown Royale, and I wouldn't recommend it.
All right,
it's not what I was looking for.
This guy, I don't remember because I was inebriated at that point in time. It was like, I don't know, 7, 8 o'clock on Christmas Day. But
that's too late.
He gave me like a lot, and I don't remember any of the brands, but what he said was like the majority of it's trash. Like it's absolute trash. And it took me a long period of time of like business associates in Canada that really showed me the good stuff. But I promise you that there is fantastic whiskey.
Oh, we got to find it then.
Yeah.
Fun. All right. We have homework.
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me, you have you looked at the games that were coming out and you saw Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and you were like, I should go play the first one.
I mean, I think that's a little reductive.
And that's what you've done. You were like,
yes, that is what I've done. But like,
I mean, I can see the thought process. You were like, well, the second one's is pretty well received.
Yeah.
And you were like, well, I want to do the whole thing.
Yeah.
So you're at the first one. I mean, I would borderline if I had more time, that's exactly what I would do as well. Because I would be really upset about playing the first or the second one before the first one.
Yeah, specifically in this case, because it's a named character that you play in 1 and 2. And as far as I understand, 2 is a direct continuation of the first game's story.
Sure.
So I was just like, I don't want to go in and just be like, there's characters from the first game that are here, and like the whole thing. It's like a grand epic adventure in old timey 1400s Bohemia, which I didn't really know a lot about, but that Bohemia was a big area at that period of time, Nick. Okay. I was like, is this Germany? Is this what is this? And I mean, Czech Republic, more or less, like in modern times. But it was a big kind of empire at one point in time in history. So yeah, this is where this takes place, is 1400s Bohemia.
Damn.
And Warhorse Studios, which is a Polish game dev, as far as I understand. And obviously, I believe the original game came out in 2016 or 2018. I think it's 2018. And I think the first game at launch was, I mean, obviously there was a lot of controversy surrounding Warhorse Studios with some of like questions about inclusion of
it's a game of white people, right?
Yeah, like ethnically diverse character base.
And that was definitely at a time where
there was only white people.
Well, no, I was saying there was a time that the journalism that was occurring at the time would have probably pushed back pretty hard.
Gamergate
about that.
That.
And
it's around the time of Gamergate,
and then it just kind of blew up and this studio became almost, and I don't know if they necessarily wanted to be, but they accepted it kind of like this flagship for, hey, well, this is their artistic vision, and they were just making whatever they wanted, and it's true to the region and et cetera, which probably doesn't go well on this show. But
no, but it also I think it's a little bit more than that. Like, to call a spade. Yes, like I think both of us have kind of accepted like or are proponents of like, if it's your artistic vision and it makes sense for like the setting, like go for it. Like, and you're not going to catch a lot of flack from me when it comes to that kind of thing. But to compound onto that, like one of the head developers, forward-facing figures at Warhorse,
fanned the flames.
He fanned the flames more than he probably should have, and really pushed back against a lot of the discourse around game development at the time in a pretty gross way, in my opinion, that it did not help their case, right? So you definitely have to kind of highlight that when you're talking about this thing, in my opinion. But I don't really have like a strong opinion one way or another. I think that
I don't think I do either. I don't think I have a hard time getting worked up over like and I'm pretty much for diversity and all kinds of things, but I'm not necessarily also the person that'll be like, I can't believe that they didn't add this into the game. And
sure,
it's not necessarily like the hill I die on.
Yeah.
Where it's more just like, yeah, that didn't have that. But like, I really like The Last of Us 2, and it was chock full of it. Like it was,
sure.
It doesn't have to be
one or the other.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think a good parallel to kind of compare to this situation in like the modern gaming sphere is Assassin's Creed Shadows.
Yeah, people are probably about
where they're super angry about the inclusion of an African character in the game. And my opinion on it is like it's their artistic vision. And like, if you don't like it, don't fucking play the game. You whiny little babies. Like, get over it.
My opinion on it is that Ubisoft there's a bunch of cowards that don't dare to make a game that's only a female.
True.
And they do not dare do it. And they've done it twice now, where a female only gets to share time.
Well, I think it's even more problematic because they backslid on it as well. Because they received a lot of criticism and like, I'm sure like we should say the game is tracking really well. That comes out this Friday, I believe, tomorrow.
Yeah.
And the game
it's reviewing well.
It's reviewing well. It seems like they've kind of tuned up some of the like more cumbersome, annoying aspects of that series. So reserve judgment for like the quality of the game.
Sure.
But like the fact that Ubisoft like kowtowed to like all these SJW fucking morons and was like, we're gonna delay the game. Certainly, I'm sure that any game of this size and scale can use a little bit more polish, sure. But I think more than anything else, this was like a direct kind of reaction to like kind of the vitriol that they were receiving online in relation to this African character being placed in a Japanese setting and being a samurai, which
but what did the delay achieve? Like, if you're saying they delayed it because of it,
I'm not saying directly, like, I'm not saying like that was explicitly the reason, but I think that you can connect the dots and be like, they probably delayed it because one, the release window that they were going to release in initially was pretty open, if I remember correctly.
It was. I was planning on playing it because I was like, there isn't anything except Call of Duty. I'm going to play it around the Christmas season.
But there was just like this cavalcade, this giant wave of hate towards the game. And like, they're investing a lot of money in like the optics. And they're receiving the feedback at a ridiculous scale in modern game development, especially these large big three developers, if you can really consider Ubisoft part of the big three anymore. But I think like honestly, I also like the Guillemot family does not have a great track record of being great people. So the fact that I truly believe that some of the hate that they were receiving and the discourse around the game, they were like, let's pump the brakes. This is not going to be a good time to release this game. You know what I mean?
People won't stay mad for 6 straight months over something that is ridiculous.
Which is
and they might, but we'll see how that plays out.
Well,
although now it's reviewing well. So if it's reviewing well, there's a lot of people that really like Assassin's Creed. I have been one of those people before this podcast started.
I've never been a fan.
That enjoyed plenty of those games. My last one was Black Flag.
People think that that's the best one. A lot of people have said that that's the best one.
It's pretty fun. I mean, who doesn't want to sing sea shanties and kill whales? And you're just like,
you kill whales in that?
Yeah, it's like you're like having a good time, and then there's like a borderline mini game where you're going whaling and you're just like, well, this took a fucking turn. And you're
very pro non-killing whales.
Yeah, exactly. Like but like you need it to check the box, right? So real quickly you become pro killing whales if you play games like I do. You're like, where they at? I gotta fuck them up. But yeah, that's like the worst part of the game. But it's a beautiful game. Like the setting and everything. Just it's actually a pretty great one. That's like the last one that I played to completion. But it's
sure,
like, it was all right.
I just feel like your higher ups in any organization, if they're rotten, the whole organization is going to rot to the core. And it doesn't matter if you've got like a lot of good actors mixed in with bad actors. The bad actors are going to rise to the top, unfortunately, and they're just going to muddy the waters. And so, like, yes, I don't want to like explicitly say that, but I think that there's also like a lot of evidence for it, because they were like, we like set up like systems within in this most recent version of the game where you can just play as the female. You don't even have to play as the black character. And it's just like, you guys are fucking gross. Like, this is so gross.
Ubisoft's a mess, and they have a catalog of some IPs that's like, they got some stuff over there that in better hands could be something. But
yeah, we'll surely see how that works out when they sell to like NetEase or fucking any of these other major conglomerates, the Embracer Group or something like that.
Probably gonna go south. But
yeah. So anyway,
the moral of the story, we're talking about Kingdom Come Deliverance and drama.
Yeah. So anyways, I definitely wanted to check this game out before I jumped into 2.
Yeah.
2, some people that I really respect in games and media was like, I highly recommend 2.
Yeah, I've seen it quite a bit.
This game is fantastic. So I was like, all right, well, I'll check out. I'll give the old college try, because I will say that I put maybe like a collective 3 to 4 hours into Kingdom Come Deliverance in the past.
Like originally.
Yeah. And hated it. Absolutely hated it. And so going into this, I was just like, I'm just going to push through the bit of like first slog in this game and see if there's anything here.
I think RPGs can be tough at the initial. It's hard to do that ramp right.
This one in particular does not ingratiate itself. You're immediately you're like, oh, this is tough, dude. This might be one of the slowest burns as far as a video game goes that I can possibly remember in recent memory.
Yeah, you should go play Fallout 2, because it's
but I'm talking about like modern video games. It is slow as molasses, man. And I'm a fairly patient person when it comes to like media in general, movies, TV shows. As long as you give me something at some point, like I'll usually stick around if there's something that like catches my interest. This is basically like European Shenmue. And when I say that, is that it really is like, this is like, I know that's a weird comparison to make, but like, I have just felt like this game is very similar to Shenmue in a lot of ways, where it's just like your dad and your mom get killed at the beginning and you're on this revenge quest, and you play as a named character. His name's Henry. And he's character acted by a fairly well-known actor. I can't remember the guy's name, but he's a blacksmith's son. The bad shit happens. A dude and his army comes and kills your entire village, basically. And then you are on this like revenge tour to enact revenge on your fallen parents. And the way that he does that is he's not like of nobility. He's not of noble blood. He's not a peasant, but he's like the middle class, basically. So he's got to utilize kind of his charm, his charisma to kind of piece together where this guy that killed his family is, while also like building up a reputation in these settlements and these plathis that he goes. And so it's an open world game, and it's very janky. Like, this game's been out for a long period of time. There's like, I bought it on a discount on Steam a long time ago
for like probably $10 or something.
$10, and I got all the DLC with it. And there's a shitload of DLC as well.
There was DLC.
Yeah, there's like 6 or 7 DLC packs that adds quests on top of it, which I learned real quick that's a mistake. Don't do the DLC early on.
It's too hard.
No, it's just like disjointed. So
it doesn't make sense with the flow.
Well, so let me explain.
Okay.
So the first
they had black people, and you're like, what is going on here? What is happening? What is unbelievable?
No. What happens is like it's probably like a 3 or 4 hour like intro. It's very slow, even before you get to like the title screen, right? There's like a 3 or 4 hour intro, and it is like the lamest shit ever, where it's like, hey, go and get. It's like fetch quests, right? And like also it's like very obtuse. Like there isn't like good tutorials in the game, so you have no idea what you're doing, and you kind of just have to figure it out as you go, right?
Yeah.
And that was really frustrating to me at first. And I was also very drunk when I started this, which was a mistake. So like I spent probably maybe it is 2 hours, and I spent 4 hours because it was like I'm so drunk and I don't know what I'm doing. But just full disclosure. But like your dad's like, go and do these things for me while I make this nice sword for this nobleman. And you're like, all right, but he doesn't give you any money to do these things. He does get killed, but okay, I'm talking about the intro, right? But yeah, you're like, okay, I'm gonna walk around this fucking village that I live in, and like, it was hilarious because you've got to buy like coal for your dad, but coal. Clean coal is very expensive in 1400s Bohemia. Yeah. And you don't have money. So like there is this like, and I didn't realize this, and this is just all on me, but like there's also like this guy, this drunkard that basically stiffed your dad. You did some work. He did some work for the guy and he stiffed your dad. And then you got to go rough him up. You punch him a bunch, and then he gives you tools that he's like, I don't have the cash, but I'll give you these tools that you're then supposed to use to sell to get the money to buy the things that your dad requires. But I didn't piece that together in my drunken stupor. So I was just like, I don't know how to. Shit. No, that's even better than that. There's chickens that just roam around the environment, and you can just walk up to them and like jankily punch them. And you punch them once, and they like cluck, and then they turn into like immediately like plucked dead chickens. And I collected like 16 dead chickens.
Can you just imagine if I was to be like, Jared, here's your quota. I need you to punch a chicken so hard it dies. And you need to go ahead and do that 16 times. And you're going to do this with your fists. I just feel like I would just have a bunch of ornery ass chickens around me at some point.
I fucking murdered the shit out of some chickens and collected all of their meat and then went and sold it to a vendor to get the money to buy. And I was just like, this is really what they want. Like, this is what we're doing.
Yeah.
But then I looked at my inventory and I was like, oh, I think I can just sell this guy's tools. For some reason, I thought I had to give the tools back to my dad, but my dad didn't want his tools.
I feel like it's weird to give you his tools. He should give you gems or something, right?
Yeah.
Because like tools, you're like, what it's crafting related or something.
Gives you like a hammer and nails.
Yeah, exactly.
So I didn't really know what was going on. So yeah, so that was very tedious. And then, like I said, parents die and you get beat up by you get your dad's like really nice sword as he dies. And that's like the intro. You start fighting like a couple enemies, and then you get roughed up by some bandits and they take your dad's sword. And that's like basically the starting of the game. This chick that lives in the town, she saves you, and she takes you back to like the settlement that's not connected to the main town that you were in. And she nurses you back to health over like a 2-week period. And that's really when the game starts. But when I started the game, there was a quest in that village that was given by this woman. That's a DLC quest. I was just like, well, the game's got kind of pushing me towards this. And so I immediately went and talked to her and started that quest, right? And the DLC quest that gives you is just the entire events of what I already played through for 4 or 5 hours through the lens of this girl. So you play as the girl, right? And so I did all of the same shit again, basically.
Which, in hindsight, if you had finished the game and then got to go back, Like, that's kind of compelling.
Yeah, for sure. It was not
immediately after you just did it. Maybe not as compelling.
It was not compelling. And it was like another like two hours of just like fetch quests. And I was just like, I hate this thing. Like, I really hate it.
So you didn't even realize at this point that you were doing a DLC quest, right?
No, midway through, I was like, this is a DLC. Well, actually, I take that back, because like originally I knew, because it was like, DLC quest. It's a DLC quest, but I just thought, like, why?
Seems like a you problem, maybe then.
Well, but it literally spawns me right next to the DLC quest. So, like, you would think, like, okay, well, this is a DLC quest that's designed to be early on. I don't know.
I have a lot of anxiety. I would have immediately Googled, when do I do DLC quests? Because I would have been stressed out about the whole thing.
Yeah, I didn't do that, and I paid for it, because it was not a good time. But then I got through that, and then I actually started the game, right? Like, properly. Sure. This game is very slow. Like, like you start out and you're like, okay, I go to this town, and I gotta build reputation, because like I don't have any money and I don't have anything going for me.
Chickens to sell. I killed them all.
I don't have any chickens to sell.
Does this game look all right?
It looks fine. Like, the facial animations are like, specifically at nighttime, or nightmare fuel. They're very big on like, if you walk in an environment without a torch, like if you're in a town without a torch, everyone will be like, "Where the fuck's your torch? Like, what are you doing?" And the guards will come up to you and be like, "Hey, only bad people are walking around the environment without a torch."
Honestly, nothing but a group of white people with torches is also kind of problematic. That strikes both ways.
So you got to get a torch, which, like, that's not hard to do. You get a torch pretty quickly. They give them through like main quests. But the first quest that you embark on is you go to a bailiff, because the guy that your dad was crafting the sword for, you go to him and you say, "Look, my dad and my mom are dead. I went back, I buried them, and out of like principle, I'm gonna go get that sword my dad was crafting for you from these assholes that killed him, because I want revenge, but I also want to get your sword back."
They took the sword.
Yeah. And the noble is like, "You know what? I like how stupid you are, and I'm gonna give you a chance. And so I'm going to give you like an opportunity to work with like the local police, basically, in this environment." Yeah. So you get like some basic equipment, and then you go talk to the bailiff, and the bailiff's like, "All right, go hang out and do a patrol." And you go meet with this like fucking drunk guy, and you literally walk around the town. But there is no, like, in other games, it would be like, "All right, we're going to run at like a good pace." You know what I mean? Because we got to go from like point A to point B. This is like obviously like a very choreographed loop around this town that is designed to familiarize yourself with the town that you're in. But the guy just walks, and the game's like, hit cap lock to match his speed, and his speed is just like walking slowly. So that quest alone takes like 30 or 45 minutes, where you're just like walking from place to place, and he's explaining it, and like some things happen, but like you're slowly progressing. And then the next,
stick with this.
I don't know, Nick. And then the next quest, you go with this lord into the woods to start hunting, and it's like an hour of hanging out with this guy. And I will say,
is
like,
he chatty?
Yeah, he's chatty.
He's got a lot to say.
Yeah, and he's also kind of an asshole, but he's also kind of funny. Okay. And this is what I will say. This is why I've stuck with it so far. The writing is good. Like, it's pretty good. Like, there's like a pretty diverse cast of characters. The voice acting is good. Henry is interesting. And you can kind of like pick the way you want Henry to be. It's very open-ended, and it's very complex. Like,
you have dialogue options?
Yes. Yeah, you have dialogue options. You can, be an asshole, be a good guy, whatever you want to do. So like outside of the hunting, so you do that hunting segment. He gets hemmed up with some fucking bandits. You got to save him. And then like the game kind of opens up, because you get a horse, right? And horse can fucking the horse seems invincible. I've thrown that bitch off of cliffs and shit like that, and he just keeps on galloping along, which is fine. But then you can traverse the open world, which is quite large. It's pretty big, and move around from place to place. There's lots of quests, like side quests and things like that. And there's just like I'm still like 20 hours in, still digesting like the options that are available in terms of like your build. There's a lot of like different perks that you can acquire. And I really like that about it.
Sure.
So it seems like it's opened up a little bit more. My last PlayStation today, I was like, okay, this is better. This is better.
Is there magic or is this?
No, this is like realistic? Straight up, like completely realistic, 1400s Bohemia that you're dealing with here.
You keep playing this thing?
Yeah.
How long? Do you know how long it is?
To finish it completely is like 100+ hours. But
complete, but
like to get through the story, I think it's like 30 or 40 hours.
But you'll.
I don't know. I'm still on the fence. So combat in this game is crazy. It's fucking nuts. And man,
it's good to hear. Because this is even if it isn't as magic based, it's hard not to compare it to games like Skyrim because everything gets compared, like any sort of high fantasy type deal, which I guess this isn't high fantasy, but you know what I mean? Like, that type of setting immediately gets compared to that. So it's just like, so is it like Skyrim?
No,
Skyrim's combat is quite bad.
I mean, some of it, I guess you could compare some of it to Skyrim. I mean, it's kind of got some of the trappings, like that open world element. The map is pretty big. Like I haven't like nearly completed the map. Like I don't really know how big it is.
Sure.
There's like when you go to the main map, there's just like clouds covering like the areas you haven't been to. So I don't know truly how big it is, but like the 20 hours I put into it, like I've especially since I got my fucking horse, have traversed quite a bit of it. And but so the combat, dude, the combat is extremely challenging. I'm playing on mouse and keyboard. Have kind of juggled
play.
I don't know. It might be easier on the controller.
Those types of games are kind of hitting. It kind of depends how you're playing them, right? And they can absolutely be better on a controller.
Yeah. So the way it works is whenever you get into a combat encounter, there's lots of different weapons, like melee weapons you can use. So that's cool. Like you can spec your character to be like, I'm going to use a mace instead of a sword, right? I don't know why you would, because it's like the whole thing is like, I'm going after my dad's sword that was dope as fuck. So like you're presumably going to get the sword back. Yeah. And it's like, I want to be good at swords when I get that sword back. But
I'm sure maces are very deadly, but it's just that's a weird character trait just of anyone that opts for the mace.
Yeah,
just like just across the board.
Yeah,
so you need to do some killing. Which one would you do? Do you want this like kind of blunt object with spikes, or do you want this super sharp object that will cut through a head? You had me at the one that was super sharp.
I don't know if you might be minimizing the lethality of a mace.
Well, I don't have a mace. I guess I could buy one to test it out.
I don't have a mace around
in my yard.
I'm just saying that, like, I don't know, like we're talking about like very primitive armor when maces were used frequently.
Maybe mace is the play.
You got fucking bashed by a mace. I think it would probably suck pretty bad.
You get a sword, I'll get a mace, and we'll fight in the yard. Okay. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
So the combat, like every combat encounter in this game, like right now, it seems like not necessarily longer than it should be, and I kind of like it, but it's a long combat encounter. You're not just walking in there and being like, hey, motherfucker, what's up? I'm going to slash you a couple times and you're going to die.
Is it dance a little bit that you got to do?
Oh, it's a complete dance. So there's a star in the middle of your screen, right? And as you move the mouse, your character will move the sword in the direction that you're pointing the mouse, right?
Sure.
And so you're kind of trying to watch what your opponent is doing. And so like you obviously want to strike where your opponent's sword is not, right? So if your opponent's got his sword above his head on the left side, you obviously want to attack the right side, right? But depending on the enemy that you're fighting, they might have a shield, which causes more problems, right? So like there's a lot of I swung my sword, I missed, or I hit his shield, and now I've got to deal with his attack, right? And there is some like abilities that you have, like there's kind of like a dodge mechanic and also a parry mechanic that comes into play. And the way that that's kind of like animated is like a shield in the middle of the star will show up when they're about to attack you. And if you have good reflexes, you can dodge that attack in, 6 or 7 different directions. There's just a lot. It's a complex melee combat system.
It's not what you'd expect.
No.
It just isn't. Like if you had just made me guess as to how the combat works in these games, it just would not have been that. It would have been very sword and board, exchanging attacks and moving on.
Dude, it's wild. It's really, I mean, the best comparison to make is For Honor. It functions very similarly to For Honor, right?
Wild.
And some people
about For Honor.
Some people love that shit. Like For Honor still has like a pretty big fan base. Like people still play that shit, which is crazy to me.
I mean, they had something there.
Yeah,
like they had something there. Just maybe didn't put it all together.
It doesn't appeal to all people, and that's and I still am like on the fence because, like for instance, today I was playing and I was riding my horse to go deliver some goods for this fence that I've been working with, and I got attacked by 2 bandits, just 2, and they pulled me off of my goddamn horse, and then proceeded to like kick the shit out of me. And they didn't even have shields. And I kind of just panicked because I was like, I don't know, like they're coming at me from both different directions and I still haven't completely digested how this combat system works. It's very complex. And I can see, like, I went into the community hub on Steam and there are people that have drawn fucking diagrams for like very hard fights about like where I move my mouse at this point and this point and this point. It's very complex. So, and I don't know, I mean, I can't speak for 2 or anything like that at this point in time, but something inside of me is just like, I gotta try to push through this.
I mean, it'll be interesting to hear how it evolves moving into 2, and especially where 2 is really receiving high marks.
What I will say is you have archery, and God, that is the archery in this game.
Fuck people up.
No, well, you absolutely can fuck people up with the archery, but it's the hardest fucking bullshit ever. Like there's no reticle, right? So you pull your bow back and you can see the arrow, but you also kind of have like this sway motion. So like, and your stamina drains as the longer you have the bow drawn. And so like, there are so many situations where I'm like, I think I'm aiming at this person and I just whiff, right?
Whiff it 2 feet above his head.
But if you're connecting with enemies, you're growing those attributes, and presumably, like they even kind of tell you, like
sway's gonna come under control, maybe.
Yeah, and they're like, you suck now. Like there's this training sequence early on, and they're like, you're really bad at this now, but like as you get better, like things are going to improve quite a bit. So
maybe you'll get some sort of an indication, or something.
I don't hate it now that I've kind of got to like where we're at now. I think like the prospect of like every fight, like, and it's not heavy on combat, right? Like it's not like you're going into an environment and there's just bandits everywhere. It's like very few and far between. But I kind of like that tense aspect of it, because once you get into those combat scenarios, it's like, oh, this is real. And I got to really focus on gamer posture, as we've talked about. And I got to really lock in to make sure that I'm like trying to figure out where they're going to attack, how I can dodge, how I can block to actually get damage in. I fought a couple of enemies that have fucking armor, like not like just a shield, but like a chainmail and shit like that. And boy, like I'm like bashing them, and then you just see sparks come off, and they're just like, "You did nothing to me, you motherfucker!" And they keep on coming at you, and so it's very dense, dude. It's a very dense game, but I also see why. Like, it's a cult classic. I think that's not a controversial statement. there are people that love this shit, like the original game. And I kind of see it, but I don't know if it's for me yet. So I'll report back when I get through it. I would really like to check out 2. I'm not to the point where I'm like, fuck this, but there's been quite a bit of points of frustration just kind of digesting what this thing is, because it's a dense, complex game.
But it seems like you're maybe through the slow part, so maybe
as soon as you got a horse,
maybe you're on the downward slope of this thing.
Yeah.
We need an artist in the Discord, because we need a new shirt, and I just feel like the new shirt needs to be Gamer Posture somehow incorporate this, because Gamer Posture is the maybe the funniest thing that's happened on the show for quite some time. And
I just got a new keyboard today too. No mods on it. I'm modding a keyboard, I should say. And like doing a lot of crazy stuff, like replacing all of the micro switches and putting a new case on it and the whole 9. But I got like the base of the keyboard today, and I switched out for the keyboard that I've been using for a year and some change. And oh my god, I became like a keyboard elitist, because I was like, because I had like
so good.
I lubed my switches on my old keyboard and put it in a new case and like did all of the things. And this one's just like bass, and I was like, this thing sucks. I can't wait to get all the parts to like make this thing sweet. So, anyways,
eventually you're gonna get me. Eventually you'll talk enough that I will be like, I got to do it.
Once I finish this build of this keyboard that I'm building right now, I'll bring it over here.
I need to come out. I got to do a typing test on it.
No, I'll bring it over here, and you can hook it up, and we'll
clickety.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's great. I think we did it. I think that covers Gamescast 150.
Whoa, we did it.
We absolutely did. If you're listening to the show and you have not joined the Discord, you should go ahead and do that. Look in the show notes. There should be a handy link there. Or if you're watching on YouTube, go over to the bio and there will be a link there. That's going to do it. That is episode 150. Thanks, guys.